Hi, I'm Jessica Lewis, and the event I am researching I am calling Marriott Suffers Another Credential-Based Breach. And the reason I'm calling it another credential-based breach is because 2 years ago, in 2018, Marriott suffered a very similar breach. And it is important for us to study this because Marriott did not learn their lesson from 2 years ago. So just some background on what happened in 2020. So, a hacker obtained credentials of two Marriott employees, most likely by credential stuffing and phishing, and used those credentials to siphon data for roughly a month before being discovered. The breach is estimated to have started around mid January of 2020 and lasted until about the end of February of 2020. 5.2 million guest data was exposed, including contact information, personal details like gender and birthday, and linked account data like airline loyalty programs. Marriott first became aware that they'd been hacked when a security tool flagged an unusual database query. The database query was made by a user with administrative privileges, but analysis quickly revealed that the person to whom that account was assigned was not the one who made the query. Someone else had managed to take control of the account. Investigators discovered a remote access Trojan, also known as a rat, along with a Mimikatz, a tool for sniffing out username and password combos in system memory. Together, these two tools could have given the attackers control of the administrator account. It's not exactly clear how the rat was placed onto the server, but such Trojans are often downloaded from phishing emails, and it's reasonable to guess that might have been the case here. Like I said earlier, Marriott suffered a very similar breach 2 years ago in 2018. Here is what happened then. Marriott had first learned of the breach on September 8th of 2018 when it was contacted by the IT company managing its Starwood guest reservation database. The Guardian alert was triggered by a query from an administrator's account to return the count of rows from a table in the database. This query stood out because it indicated a human operator was interfering with the database. On September 10th, Marriott called on third-party investigators to look into whether it had been breached. Soon afterwards, malware on the Starwood IT system was found. A rat had been found. It was in November that Marriott realized the hackers had been in the system since July of 2014, over 4 years ago. And later that month, the firm found that customer data had indeed been breached. On November 13th of 2018, investigators discovered evidence that two compressed, encrypted files had been deleted from a device. After 6 days, investigators managed to decrypt those files. Their contents were a table detailing passport information and another from the Starwood guest reservation database containing guest data. 383 million guest records and 18.5 million encrypted passport numbers were breached. Details including 9.1 million encrypted payment card numbers and 385,000 valid card numbers, in addition to 5.25 million unencrypted passport numbers. Like the second attack in 2020, it is not exactly clear how the rat was placed onto the server, but once again, phishing was a reasonable guess. So, phishing is the most popular and potent attack vector and is categorized as a social engineering attack, and it is often used to steal user data, including login credentials and credit card numbers. The goal of phishing via social engineering is to trick the victim into believing that the message they receive from the phishing perpetrator contains something they want or need. Something like a request from their bank or instant or a note from someone within their company, and to click a link or download an attachment. The attacker's primary goal is to compromise systems to obtain usernames, passwords, and other account and or financial data. Here's how phishing works. First, the attacker clones a legitimate website, so in our case, the Marriott website. The login page for the Marriott website is changed to point to a credential stealing script. The modified files are bundled into a zip file to make a phishing kit. The phishing kit is uploaded to the hacked website and the files are unzipped. Emails are sent with links pointing to the new spoofed website. So that was basically steps 1 and 2 of this diagram. So then step 3 is the victim. So in this case, the Marriott customer visits the phishing page from the email. And once they log in with their credentials on what they assume to be the real Marriott site, those credentials are then sent to an email account that the hacker has set up, and now the attacker can harvest those new credentials. So a phishing email resulted in a remote access Trojan, also known as a RAT, like I said before, backdoor being downloaded onto the system, which enabled the threat actors to escalate privileges and capture user credentials for everyone who had used the system. By the time the breach was discovered, a significant amount of information had already been leaked to a foreign IP address. So a RAT is a malicious malware software that runs in the background on a computer and gives unauthorized access to a hacker so they can steal information or install additional malicious software. Hackers don't even need to create their own RATs. They can be downloaded from the dark net. And RATs usually start out as executable files that are downloaded from the internet, and then they are often masked as another program or added to a seamlessly harmless application. And once the RAT installs, it runs in system memory and adds itself to system startup directories and registry entries. So each time the computer is started, the RAT starts too. There are steps you can take to help prevent you from a phishing attack. You can always check the spelling of the URLs and email links before you click or enter sensitive information. You can watch out for URL redirects where you're subtly sent to a different website with identical design. If you receive an email from a source you know, but it seems suspicious, contact the source of that email rather than just clicking the link. And don't post personal data like your birthday, vacation plans, or your address or phone number publicly on social media. Now, on the business side, there are proactive measures you can implement to protect your organization. You can check the safety of each link a user clicks, and you can inspect and analyze web traffic. However, clearly, Marriott did not implement these, and we saw what happened. Even after the first attack, all Marriott really did was attempt to address the customer's concerns. Like I said earlier, in the 2020 attack, 5.2 million guest data was exposed, including contact information, personal details, and leaked account data. Right now, the investigation is still ongoing. So for now, the only thing that Marriott has changed is resetting its passwords for their own loyalty program. Marriott has also warned affected customers that the compromised data could be used to phish for more additional sensitive information. There are multiple lessons to be learned from this. The first is learn from the past. Marriott had 2 credential-based breaches within 2 years. The second one could have been prevented if they had learned their lessons from 2 years ago, and that's why this is so important to study. The second lesson is to protect customer data, you have to control how employees access data very rigorously. Marriott could have avoided this breach by implementing multi-factor authentication for employees attempting to access sensitive data. That way, it would have taken more than a password for the attacker to sneak into their systems. In addition, Marriott could have gotten wise to the hacker's presence much sooner if their system had monitored for suspicious data or suspicious behavior. Such a system would have been flagged in the situation, and the 2 employees trying to access the data would have merited an investigation. So my 2 questions for you are, where does a Mimikatz come into play during a phishing attack? And how exactly does a phishing attack work? What are the steps to take to carry out a successful phishing attack? Thank you.